I'm Alessandra Barrett, Senior Content Editor for JOC, and I'm at our Inland Distribution Conference in Memphis. I'm joined by Charlie McGee, Vice President of International Solutions for Averitt. Thanks for joining me today, Charlie.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
We're still seeing the effects of the West Coast labor dispute that resolved earlier this year. What adjustments are you seeing importers make to their supply chain to prevent it from being disrupted by weather or other labor issues such as that?
Well, it varies based on the risk tolerance of each individual company you're talking about. But the main phenomenon that took place was that the senior management of most of these companies who are engaged in the import business, they went to their transportation and supply chain people and said, our model is broken, we have to fix it. And so the industry has been hard at work, and the transportation professionals in the industry have been working to try to meet the demands of their corporate management and quote unquote fix their transportation model. And that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but there's one thing for certain that it does incorporate. The ILWU PMA situation on the West Coast put a real scare in a lot of people this year about could that happen again, and the bigger we get, will the impact be even worse in the future? So what almost all of them, to a T, to some varying degree, have done is that they have diverted a portion of their cargo, where feasible, to East and Gulf Coast ports to try to alleviate the dependence on the West Coast gateway coming primarily from the Asia market, which is where most of our consumer goods come from. And Averitt is sitting in the middle of all those activities on the East Coast port with our facilities and our trucks to be able to grab the cargo wherever it happens to land and to coach our customers about what is available to them in the marketplaces, not looking at any one specific solution, but actually looking at the entire network and saying, based on what they're trying to accomplish, it's almost a consulting role. What are you trying to accomplish? Here's what we see as the best solution, and it may involve South Carolina ports this week, it may involve the Virginia ports next week, it may involve Georgia ports the week after that. So it's kind of a mixed bag of solutions that we provide, but with our facility network, we have the ability to service any aspect of the business after it moves inland, or if it doesn't move inland. If it must move from the port, we also are able to do that. So those are the types of things that we're seeing the industry look at as solutions to try to take all their eggs out of that one basket on the West Coast and put them into a more diversified port infrastructure in the United States. And of course, Canada is part of that equation as well.
Briefly, what are your expectations for the year ahead?
Well, based on what we're seeing right now, especially tied with the economic conditions pretty much around the world, and we're in a slow growth mode, we can't deny that in the United States right now by pretty much all measures, but we're not in a declining mode. Some economies are in declination, and fortunately we're not. So we're optimistic about the growth possibilities of business here in the United States for sure. We just feel that better solutions have to come about in order to do business in this new environment that we're dealing with. And especially in the steamship side of it, when the Panama Canal opens up in 2016, assuming it's still on schedule, which I hear that it is, that's going to move the line of embarkation at least another 100, maybe 200 miles further inland from the East Coast to make the East Coast ports even more competitive than they currently are. So that's going to change the whole dynamic again of what's available to move via the East Coast and what makes sense to move via the East Coast and still provide the economies of scale that the customers are looking for to keep their overall supply chain cost as low as they can while still meeting the critical dates necessary to meet their customers' demand.
Thanks for joining me today, Charlie.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I've been speaking with Charlie McGee, Vice President of International Solutions for Averitt.